everyone. I want to just officially welcome you to our Anchor at Home. We're so glad you're tuning in. If you're in a watch party with family and friends or you're on your own, we're thrilled you're here with us. My name's Katie Robertson, and I am the founder and director of the Anchor Gathering, which we call the Anchor for short. And this is the Anchor at Home we are bringing into your homes for you to see, and we've got an extra special night for you. This is our celebration of our 10th anniversary of the Anchor first starting 10 years ago in my town of Gig Harbor, Washington. And I usually just like to start with the briefest history. And because it's the 10th anniversary, I thought I'd throw in a couple fun facts. But it did start shortly after the biggest storm hit my life, when my daughter, Karina Jean, passed away after a 5-year battle with leukemia. My faith in Jesus held so strong for myself, my family, and especially Karina, that I just saw Jesus to be so real. And I developed a passion to share with everyone that Jesus is real and he holds strong in the darkest of dark times. So I gathered some friends in my living room and we started to dream and pray about how we could have this gathering for women, that we could share this good news about Jesus. And we came up with the idea of the Anchor, and we launched it in Gig Harbor with a mission to gather women of all ages and backgrounds to be encouraged and anchored in faith and friendship. Now, I want to add a fun fact. You're probably wondering, some of you might know, how did we come up with the name The Anchor? And it was kind of a joke at first. I looked over at a pillow on my couch and jokingly said, how about we call it The Anchor? And then we all laughed and thought, oh, that might be not so good. But then as we looked closer at the anchor, at this symbol, we thought, cool symbolism. It stands for steadfastness. There's a cross in it, all about the faith in Jesus. And then what's really cool, just recently, there's the woman symbol, if you see that, with your anchor swoosh, which then equals anchor woman, sharing the great news. And that was perfect. We could not believe how great a name it would be. And then the confirming Bible verse, Hebrews 6:19, that I'd never read before. And it's, we have this hope, Jesus, as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. And that just confirmed the whole thing. So we're so excited. I don't get that out too often, but we like to reminisce back on those 10 years ago in my living room. That all happened. Then one more fact is where we started the Anchor. It started in a net shed. I'll say it again, net shed. In Gig Harbor, our town is known as a fishing town. And dating back to 1910, these little sheds were built on the water. Now, 10 years ago, March, we needed to find this location. Where were we going to hold the first Anchor, this gathering of women? And we were like, we don't have, a lot of means for this. I wish it was free. And it was crazy timing. This net shed came ready for us, refurbished in the month of March, waiting for us. And we crammed 60 ladies in there. And it was so perfect because a net shed for fishermen is a place they can come off the seas of fishing and the heavy work they do. They would come to these little sheds and regroup, rest, fix their nets, their equipment, and get ready to go back out to their jobs of fishing. Well, in the same fashion, the Anchor is a place where women can come off the stormy seas of life, take a rest, take a deep breath, have a rest, regroup, and be encouraged, filled with hope, and get ready to go back out into wherever life has you. So with that in mind, that just analogy of the net shed has been a really special place that we began. So with that, we are so excited you're with us. Our hope and prayer for you tonight is that you would be encouraged, filled with hope, and that you be anchored in your faith wherever you are on that journey, and that you be anchored in your friendships. So just take a deep breath, sit back, and we hope you will enjoy. And before we start with our program, I want to make sure I remind everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share the link and let everyone out there know we want to get the word out. This is the best news to share. So thank you for doing that and sharing the word around. And at this time, we like to start with music. And tonight we are very privileged to have with us for King and Country. And this group is one of the top contemporary Christian groups out there. And we are thrilled that we get to have them with us. It wasn't too long ago that I got to see them in concert at a conference I was at and thought, wow, it would be so cool if we could get these guys for the Anchor. And to me, it feels like a miracle. With some connections and amazing kindness and generosity, we were able to connect with For King and Country, and they've shared some of their music with us to share with all of you. And so tonight we get to hear from this group a few facts about them. They are originally from Australia. Their family lives in Nashville, Tennessee. It's really comprised of the two lead singers are the brothers, Joel and Luke Smallbone, and then their family is part of this group. And they are just an amazing, they have amazing music talent. They have been awarded many awards, 4 Grammy Awards, many Dove Awards, plus other titles. But the one very impressive fact that I can barely wrap my head around is that they have more than 1 billion downloads. And that is impressive. I still can't believe it. And I love that their lyrics, they really try to share the message of truth and hope that come from knowing Jesus. So thank you again to For King and Country for sharing with us tonight.
Here we go.
Face to face with the younger me. All of the mistakes, all of the heartbreak. Here's what I do differently.
All right, ladies, it's time to hear you sing along. Here we go. I'm loved like I'm not scared. Give when it's not fair. Live a life for another. Take time for the brother. Fight for the weak ones. Speak out for freedom. Find faith in the battle. Stand tall, but above it. Oh, here we go. I'll fix my eyes on you. Oh, 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 on you.
Thank you for King and Country. That was awesome. Those lyrics are so good. Such a reminder to fix our eyes, to keep our eyes on Jesus, our anchor. Thank you again. Now, at this time of the anchor, it's always one of my favorite times where the anchor moment, we get to hear from someone a little bit about themselves, their faith journey, and a time they've had an anchor moment. And an anchor moment is a time where their faith's been grounded or they've really seen Jesus to be real and at work in their lives. So tonight, it's kind of a funny reversal here. I am going to be actually interviewed, and tonight we have our board chair, Kathleen Cummins. So glad she can be with us tonight.
Thanks, Katie.
She is going to be the interviewer, so we are going to reverse the roles, and so excited to have her. So, Kathleen, take it away.
Katie. Well, it's just such an honor to work with the Anchor, and I'm so excited to be here. And anything I get to do with the Anchor is just means so much to me. So, Katie, we'd like to hear from you and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. Where shall I start? I grew up in Seattle, Washington, and I am the youngest of 5 siblings by 5 minutes. I like to mention that because I do have an identical twin, and she is a big part of my life. And I went to the University of Washington and became a teacher, and then got very involved in Young Life as a volunteer leader. And I met my husband, Ron Robertson, at the Young Life Camp Malibu Club up in Canada, and we've been married 35 years as of this summer. We live in Gig Harbor for almost 30 years, and we have 3 children. Our youngest son lives in Seattle, and he's getting married this summer. And our middle daughter lives in North Carolina, and she and her husband have our 2 darling granddaughters, age 3 and 1. And then our oldest daughter, as you've heard me mention her before, her name's Karina Jean, and she would be 31 years old if she were with us today. So these last 10 years, I have been working hard for the Anchor. That's what I have really been up to. Just planning, praying, visioning, just working so hard and loving every minute. It's truly an adventure. So thankful for these 10 years, and I'm looking forward to the next many years.
Katie, it is amazing what's been happening with the Anchor. And Katie, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That is a very good question. As I look back on the last 10 years, I'm pretty amazed and kind of blown away what's happened, way more than I could ask or imagine. What started in a net shed, one gathering of women, I never dreamed it was going to go any farther. But shortly thereafter, it grew to 10 cities in the Northwest, and gathered a board around me for the Anchor, which is the most amazing board, Kathleen. And then we were going amazing, strides, and then the pandemic hit, and that's when I call it the pandemic pivot. We could not let the Anchor go down, so we are bringing it to you in your homes. And that's why we have this, our YouTube channel and the Anchor at Home, that we can broadcast this great news to more women, and it's been amazing. It has grown to over twice as many cities. I mean, we have over 40,000 views. And the way, we're actually in all 50 states, viewed in all 50 states and a few countries. But what's really, I've been strategically praying and thinking about this to really grow the Anchor. We're going to need more watch party hosts. And so that's what I'm really excited about. If we can get more women on board hosting these watch parties, inviting your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, anyone that comes to your heart that needs to hear the hope we have in Jesus, to invite them into your home and watch this, our YouTube channel, Anchor at Home, together. And I think together we will make a huge impact. And we have awesome training for our Anchor hosts, these watch party hosts, and encouragement. And all you have to do is go to our website, theanchorgathering.com, and you can find out more and sign up to be a watch party host, and we will be in connection with you. So that's what we're really excited about, is taking this, broadcasting this news.
Is it complicated?
Everywhere.
Is it hard to become a watch party host?
No, you just go to that website, like I said, theanchorgathering.com, and you sign in your name and all your contact information, and we get in contact with you, and we have monthly training meetings for our leaders, and are so encouraged, and we are strategically planning. We want to make a huge difference, so we love your help. We need all of the watch party hosts we can get, so we're excited about that.
And what kind of difference do you want to make?
We want to bring the hope and light and relationship that Jesus brings to women everywhere. So excited for what's happened these last 10 years, and am looking so forward to what is going to happen in the next 10 years and more. We want to make a big difference and bring this great news to everyone.
So, Katie, now would you tell us a little bit more about your faith journey?
Yes. So I grew up in the Lutheran church, and I loved Sunday school and going to church. I learned about Jesus and God and believed everything, but it didn't really mean anything until I was 12 years old. And this is one of the big moments of my life. My older sister, who's 8 years older, she was our youth group leader at our church, and she took my twin and I and all of our friends to a concert. And the guy that was singing that night, his name was Wayne Taylor, and he's a guitarist / pastor. And I remember this was a big night for me because I, for some reason, sat in the front row, and I am not a front row girl, and I was not sitting with my twin. Now, remember, I am the youngest twin, and I did follow my sister in a lot of things that I do. So this is one of those moments in my life. I was sitting in the front row, and the night went on, and I heard the best and greatest news I've ever heard. For the first time ever, I heard about how much God loved me, and that he sent his son Jesus to die for me, and that to forgive me from my sin, and that I could invite him to live in my heart, that he could be my best friend forever, never leave me, and could live life full here on earth. And the best part I heard was I got to live in heaven forever, for eternity. And I heard that news. I got to tell you, I'm just like, how come no one has told me this before? I was so excited, and I was ready to, jump out of my chair. Well, I didn't get to until the very end of the concert. The Wayne Taylor, asked if anyone wanted to, pray and ask Jesus into their heart, and to come down to the front of where we were, the auditorium. And without looking at anyone, because usually I was following somebody, I just jumped out of my chair, prayed the prayer with this pastor, and I went down to the front with nobody that I knew. And if you only knew little cautious Katie, I just don't do things like that. And I just was so excited. That night, I received, and I'll have to hold up, this isn't the original, but my first Bible. And this Bible, has truly been my anchor. And I don't want to say that, overuse my word here, the anchor, but truly that night when I received my Bible, I could not get enough. I went home that very night. And I'm going to say, honestly, from that day, when I was 12 years old, I have held on to this Bible and anchored myself to these truths in this book since that day. And I am so thankful. After that time, I got into young life in high school, and then in college, I could not get enough. I was so excited. That was the beginning of wanting to share my faith with everyone. And then what I was most excited about is sharing my faith with my children. And that, after meeting my husband, and we had our 3 children, I poured my life and the truths of this book into our children. And I'm going to just say it's a full circle deal, because when the biggest storm hit my life, our lives, and especially for our precious girl, Karina Jean, the Bible and the truths really held. We were put to the test. And I'm just going to say, I don't share it that often, but the very first night in the hospital, the day we were diagnosed, I was, of course, the in shock mother. But Karina, if you only knew my girl, she brought her backpack, and we got there, and she unloaded her special things, put them on the little tray table there in the hospital room. She got her Bible out and her devotional, plus her other favorite book she likes to read. But she had that front and center. And what did she do? She picked up her Bible and devotional, started reading right away, and turns to me. Mom, you're not going to believe the verse I just read. It's so good. I'm going to read it to you all tonight. She said, Mom, I just read from Psalm 66. God has surely listened and has heard my prayer. Praise be to God, who has not rejected my prayer or withheld his love from me. And if I could sum up anything from our journey, the Lord's love came through so loud and clear through people and circumstances, everything. But Karina knew that truth. And the best thing she told me that night, she said, Mom, don't worry. If the worst happens, I'll be with Grammy Jean, her namesake, my mom, who'd already passed away and was in heaven, and I'll be with Jesus, she said, very confidently, very anchored, and so encouraged me. Here, my girl that I poured my life into, she had taken her faith for her own, and she was pouring back to me. And that is what the hope we have to bring through the anchor that I'm so excited about. So that, in a nutshell,
That's
is the faith
amazing.
journey. But
That's amazing faith journey. And then on top of that, you have an anchor moment to share with us.
yes, I do, because the reason I thought it would be timely to share the anchor moment, it really has to do with the 10th anniversary, and it's a really special anchor moment. I do have a lot of moments, but this one in particular is perfect for the night. And it all happened 10 years ago this month. I was preparing to share the first message. And never thought of myself as a speaker at all. I'm like, what am I going to share for the first anchor? And so I started to pray and think, Lord, what does it mean for you to even be an anchor? What does it mean to have Jesus as an anchor? And it just came to me so quickly. 5 moments in my life where Jesus had been real. My faith had been grounded. Thus, everybody, the anchor moment came from this. 5 times in my life, they came right to my mind, and a truth correlated with them with a Bible verse. So that was going to be my message. God loves you. He hears you, never leaves you, never forgets you, always holds you. So now, I think some of you might know I'm a runner, and I love running. And to practice my talks, I practice my talk when I'm running. So I'm out. This is the anchor moment. Get ready. I am out on my run 10 years ago on my route that I've run for so many years, over 15 years at the time. I just, I'm a routine girl. I'm out on my run. It's about a 4-mile loop. And I am, treading along, and I'm running, and I'm like praying under my breath, Lord, could you just give me a sign or an object lesson? I love a good object lesson, or an anchor, something I could use in my message. Now, just so you know, I was not thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get this answer right away. But this is the anchor moment. I am running along, and just as I finish the prayer, I look up, and then not even 100 yards in front of me, I could in the distance see this giant rusted anchor. It's a sight that I'll never forget because my eyes had never noticed it before. And so there I saw in front of me, as I got closer, this giant anchor. And what was even more significant was that this anchor was chained around it's a huge fir tree. And this part of the story makes it even more special because not only do I see an anchor in the middle of nowhere, it is does not even go where it is. I'm like, what is it doing on a tree? But this is the significance. Some of the very last words of Karina in the hospital before she passed away. She woke me in the middle of the night. And if any of you have ever been in the hospital trying to get sleep, it's hard to come by. And I was not in the happiest mood to be awakened by my daughter. But she woke me with, Mom, I think I see something. I think it's a metaphor. Now, I was very groggy, did not want to be awakened. But when the word metaphor came out of my daughter's mouth, I'm like, metaphor? We do not use that language in our family. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what is she going to say? So I definitely awakened. And she went on to say, Mom, I see a tree standing tall and strong. Now, when she said that, I envisioned a fir tree, just like the tree this anchor's around. I see a tree standing tall and strong, she said, and some trees are uprooted, and they're blowing around in the wind. And I could just picture root balls, trees blowing all around. But then she said, but one is standing tall and strong. And those words I have never forgotten. When your daughter says a metaphor, you definitely listen up. And as I saw that anchor around the tree, it confirmed something in me that Jesus is the real deal. He is our anchor that holds us strong and secure, helps us to stand tall and strong, just like the words Karina used. And just like a tree is rooted and grounded, they both, do the same thing. It's all about the faith that holds us strong in Jesus. So that really was my anchor moment. And definitely as I run by that, I still am running by that anchor and tree. And it still is an amazing sight It so blends in that when you see it, you just go, what? That is so amazing that's there. So just a reminder to me and the message of hope that we have to bring through the anchor. So,
Katie, thank you so much for sharing. And that's the metaphor. We'll just remember that forever. The tree and the anchor and Jesus. Thanks so much.
Yes, standing tall and strong. But thank you so much for being here and being a part of getting to share the beginning of the anchor and just reminisce on the 10 years and be excited about what's to come. Now, at this time, we do get to hear from our main speaker, and tonight we are privileged and honored to hear from Jackie Green. And I met Jackie Green not too long ago and found we had a kindred passion. We love to share the hope we have in Jesus with women everywhere. And she is the co-founder of the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. And she and her husband also are the owner and oversee the operation of Hobby Lobby, which I think most of us know that store. And she lives in Oklahoma. She has 6 grown children and many grandchildren. And it was actually, this is kind of a fun, by the way, comment, that the connection with For King and Country came through Jackie Green at I met For King and Country at the Museum of the Bible at one of the conferences that their family has held. So kind of a fun full circle. And we're so excited that she's here tonight, and we're excited to hear from you. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Katie. I'm so honored to be here today and share with you all. I love your theme, Come Be Encouraged. I pray that something I say today will bring you encouragement in some way. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been married to my husband, Steve, for 37 years. We met at church camp as young teenagers and got married when we were 18 and 20 years old. We have 6 children, 4 who are still married and 2 still at home. Our 21-year-old and 15-year-old keep us laughing and running, and our 6 grandchildren are really grand. We love it. Life is extremely busy, and I feel so blessed to have a large family with all of our children have chosen to serve the Lord. Our challenge this past year has been to protect our parents now and keep them safe and well. God called Steve and I on a new venture. We were working really hard, we thought, but God called us to something really big, something so out of our comfort zone. He took us on a path where we didn't feel equipped or qualified, and it was essential to obey Him. You know, God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. We were on a journey from November of 2009 to November of 2017, where we opened the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., a 430,000 square foot museum that is just everything Bible. This 4-year-old museum has had nearly 2 million people already go through its doors, fulfilling its mission of inviting all people to engage with the Bible. That journey actually stemmed from a love for the Bible and a spirit of generosity within our family. Early on, Steve was looking at helping some men in Dallas, Texas, acquire a building to start a Bible museum. And when that didn't progress, we had a new and growing collection that we thought would be donated to a museum by someone else. And we're not collectors. We're a retail family. We run a family business and we sell things. We like to get things out the door, not collect them. So I never, ever would have dreamed we would be on such a journey. We enjoyed privately and quietly serving God as a family and running our family-operated company, staying out of the public eye. I don't believe it was a surprise to God that in 2012, the year that we acquired the building in Washington, D.C. that would house the Museum of the Bible, that we would find ourselves in a 2-year battle through the court system, going before the U.S. Supreme Court to stand for freedom of religion in our beloved country. We believe the principles that God gives us in the Bible. And I think this statement is true for each of us. Our beliefs influence our values, and our values influence our actions. From 2010 to 2012, we were looking for a building to be the home of the Museum of the Bible. And in 2012, the building was acquired. And by 2015, there were full-blown construction projects going on. In November of 2017, the museum opened and is on a mission to invite all people to engage with the transformative power of the Bible. In the past 4 years, we've seen leaders from all walks of life, including leaders from other countries, come through the museum, with school groups on field trips, families with their children, musicians, artists, scholars, Catholic nuns, Jewish rabbis, and Protestant pastors. We even had a positive letter from a non-believer come through saying that he really enjoyed the museum. And that is why I believe this museum and what it contains is such a powerful resource. The Bible has the ability to reach the mind, the heart, and the spirit of those who will actively read it. Now let's back up to a time before I came along. I'd like to tell you about my great-grandmother, Fanny. She had a really difficult life. She was born in Arkansas, and by the age of 2, she was motherless. And when her mother died in childbirth, an unmarried aunt took care of her because her father left to go search for gold in Colorado. Unfortunately, that special aunt died when she was 5, and she was taken to Missouri to live with another aunt and uncle who had 4 sons. She worked hard helping her aunt with the many chores. And at the age of 18, she threw her pillow with all of her belongings out the window and took a train across the state line to Kansas to marry her sweetheart. They came back and settled down to work and start a family. They had 14 children. 6 of them died when they were babies, and 1 by the age of 15. Fanny's husband, Frank, was known to be a hard man and developed an illness, leaving much of the responsibility on Fanny's shoulders. One evening, Fanny's teenage children invited her to go to a tent revival in their community after they had moved to Oklahoma. Fanny agreed to drive their wagon to the revival that night, and she found out what it meant to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. All 7 of her living children chose to be Christians and raised their children to be also, with my granny being the youngest of them. Granny then passed her love for Christ down to her 4 children, with my mother being the oldest. You might have guessed by now where this is going. I'm so thankful that I can say we now have our 6th generation choosing to walk in their faith journey, believing the Bible fully and completely. One might think that's just what we do, but you know it's not quite like that. You see, each of us can be a light, an example to those around us, to our family, our friends, our neighbors, or coworkers. But every one of us has to make our own choice about what we're going to believe, who we're going to serve, and whether or not we will embrace a faith in the God of the Bible. We can show those who cross our path how to do that through our example and our influence. As Steve and I traveled to 300 events in 3 years prior to the opening of the museum, I had the opportunity to meet many women all over the country that had common threads throughout their stories. The majority of them that I would ask had greatly been impacted by other women in their lives, grandmothers, mothers, aunts, neighbors, or teachers who had guided them on their own faith journey. Most often, those women who had influenced and made an impact in others' lives had little or no recognition for their efforts to give the most powerful gift they could give to those around them. I believe that women all over need to be reminded of the amazing opportunity they have around them every single day. In the book I wrote with my daughter, Only One Life, How a Woman's Every Day Shapes an Eternal Legacy, Lauren and I delve into 12 characteristics of legacy that we feel are important for women. We use the examples in each chapter of a woman in the Bible, a woman in history, and women today who are shining examples for us to learn from. We talk a lot about legacy. So what is legacy? It's certainly a grand word, possibly a daunting word to some of us. But let me start with what I don't mean. Legacy is not the idea of leaving financial wealth to someone, or it's not reserved for only those whose names will be in the history books or on monuments or plaques or in the record books. Legacy is far more than that. It's the story of your life that lives on after you leave this earth. You write this story every day through the values you embrace and live out. Your legacy can be positive or destructive, but the outcome is always up to you. When we view it through this lens of small daily actions and how they add up, creating a legacy is the most important job we can undertake. I'd like to share a story now of a woman in history whom I feel I can safely assume had a love for the Bible. Her name was Elizabeth de Boon. Elizabeth lived in England in the 14th century. She had a difficult life. She was betrothed at the age of 3, had her first child when she was 15, and her second child at 18, being widowed shortly thereafter. She was put in the Tower of London with her mother and siblings for a time as a child. Her father and her father-in-law died through tortured deaths, like being hung and drawn and quartered. As a young woman, Elizabeth once again found herself in an arranged marriage meant to bring peace within two prominent families. It was in her second marriage that she commissioned what is said to possibly be the most beautifully illuminated manuscript in the whole world, now known to us as the Elizabeth de Boon Psalter and Book of Hours. The Psalter was the Book of Psalms, and the Book of Hours was much like a devotional read at certain hours of the day. It would have taken years of work for the scribes to meticulously transcribe, then the artisans to illuminate, and it would have cost a small fortune, all in a time when many people couldn't even read. This item commissioned by Elizabeth was quite an investment. It found its way to the Astor family in America, where it was on display in an exhibit to raise funds to provide a base for our Statue of Liberty. We can enjoy this artifact today in the Museum of the Bible on the history floor. After our family donated this magnificent piece to Museum of the Bible, I found out that Elizabeth de Boon was my 21st great-grandmother. I felt like this was a God wink and no surprise to him. This caused me to think, did Elizabeth pray for her future generations? I know that I'm impacted by her life today, and I'm grateful for her investment in this lovely treasure that we can see and appreciate long after her time on earth has passed. What will my 21st great-grandchild know about me? How can I use my life to influence my future generations, passing down my legacy of love for God and the Bible to them? Let me ask you to consider these questions. Do you know the names of both of your grandmothers? How about your 4 great-grandmothers? Or the names of your 8 great-great-grandmothers? What do you know of their stories, their beliefs, and their values? Most of us don't get very far with the answers to those questions. Not everyone has a great story or comes from a line of wonderful, godly women to exemplify. But each and every one of us has the opportunity to influence the trajectory of that line of those who come after us. How can we be intentional today with actively living out and passing down to our future generations those things in life that really matter? I'd like to close with a phrase from a poem by C.T. Studd, a missionary, that is dear to our family and was said often by my husband's grandmother. Only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie, so much again for sharing that inspiring message on making a legacy, sharing our faith, and just the importance of the book of the Bible and the museum that has come out of your vision for sharing that with the world. The Bible Museum is amazing. And then I just wanted you all to know, after talking with Jackie and just what a great message this was, I asked if she had a little something else we could show you viewers of what the Bible Museum looks like inside, just a little more of a peek. So we're excited. We have a very short little clip and thought it would be really fun for us to view that together. So here it is.
This museum, this is historical.
This center, this city, is the most exciting thing possible. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
That was a really cool video. And now we just want to give a reminder that at the end of this video, there are discussion questions that you can go over in your watch party groups or on your own, questions about Jackie's message, and it'll take you a little deeper. So we hope you're encouraged with that. Well, everyone, at this time, we will be having our drawing. And tonight we have some very fun things that we're putting in our drawing for the night. We first of all have our Glassy Baby, our trademark color, navy blue, and it has our etched Anchor logo, the Anchor woman symbol, and it comes packaged beautifully, this little box. It comes with the verse, all wrapped in a bow. And these Glassy Babies, for those of you who are not so sure what this is, it is very popular in the Northwest. They are hand-blown glass. They're beautiful when they're lit. So here is our first prize that we'll be having the drawing for. Secondly, our new merchandise. We have a couple sweatshirts. This is our navy blue 3/4 zip with our little Anchor logo here. And we're very excited. Our store is opening as of March 1st. You can go on our website and find out more there and make an order. And we have that. And then our third fun little drawing will be a book by Jackie Green and her daughter. It is all about creating a legacy with your family. So we've got these 3 items, and there's 3 ways that you can sign up. The first way is the QR code in your watch party kit. And if you're not sure all about that, your watch party host has that information. You can ask her. And secondly, you can go to the link on the screen, theanchorgathering.com/raffle, sign in there. Or third, you can go to the description box on the YouTube channel, and there it is right there, the link's there, sign on in. So you've got 3 ways to do that. You've got until 9 o'clock tonight, and we will announce all 3 winners first thing tomorrow. So we are excited for this. We hope we see your name in there, and we will look forward to announcing that first thing tomorrow. Okay, well now, in closing for this fun night of our celebration of 10 years, I have a verse that I'd like to share with you that recently jumped off the page at me from my Bible, and I just think that the message of it sums up the message that we like to share here at the Anchor. And it's a verse out of Acts chapter 3, verse 16, but I got to set the stage a little. First of all, the verse comes out of the story of the lame man who was sitting at a gate begging for money. And 2 of Jesus' disciples, Peter and John, came walking by, and this guy is asking for money, and Peter and John say, "Hey, we don't have money to give you, but we've got something better to give. We've got Jesus Christ." And this is the part I love. They looked at him, they said, "Look at here." And the guy gave him his attention, and they looked at him in the eye, and they said, "In the name of Jesus, get up and walk." And they reached out, pulled him up, and the lame guy went, I love this part, jumping, leaping, and praising God. Here was a guy that hadn't walked since birth. And the next thing you know, in Jesus' name, he is jumping around, full of joy, and going crazy. And something about this story just hit me, the word lame. Life is full of lame things that happen. I've had a lame thing happen with my daughter not being with me. And that word lame really meant a lot to me. When my daughter passed away, I felt like my leg had been cut off. I felt lame. I'm like, how am I going to get up? How am I going to live? How am I going to do anything? And I started thinking about life and all of us, all of you out there. There might be something that's keeping you down, that you don't feel like you can get up. Let's face it, life throws some lame stuff at us. But guess what? This is the news of the Anchor, just like Peter and John said. And just like, I feel like I say this every time. It just jumped off the page that my faith in Jesus is what holds me strong. And here was the verse from Acts 3:16. Here's what it says. "By faith in the name of Jesus, this man, this lame man whom you see and know was made strong. It is Jesus' name and the faith that comes through him that has completely healed him, as you can all see." And that is the message for the Anchor, is that by holding on to Jesus and believing in him, that relationship we can have with him, he actually makes us strong. I would hope that's why I'm here doing the Anchor. I've seen him to be real. He has helped me to stand tall and strong, just like my daughter had shared, it kind of all came back full circle. I can stand. I can actually jump around. I can live. And I know the hope that I have in Jesus. He holds me strong for today and that great, awesome news of eternal life in heaven, where I'll see Karina again too. But I just thought, life is lame. But as we hold on to Jesus, he'll help you stand tall and strong. So with that, we want to have your help getting the word out there. We love for you to share us and follow us, like us on social media, Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and go to our website, theanchorgathering.com, where you can sign in. You can get weekly encouragement, sign up to be that host, and together we can share the greatest news and the hope and light and relationship that Jesus brings. So until next time, stay anchored, and we will see you soon.